Hey guys, what's happening? Hope you're all good. I'm going to give everybody a moment to join as I've just sent the link into Discord. I'm also going to just check the stream is working, audio is all good, and that everybody can see me. So just going to hop over to YouTube. Right, all looks good. Give everybody a moment to join then. How has everyone's start to September been? Because for me, yeah, it's not been an ideal beginning to the month. How we doing, PX Lou? Hope you're all good. Hope you are good. Yeah, as I was saying, the start of September, specifically today, has not been kind. I enabled quite a few more strategies on my portfolio last week. Unfortunately, today, yeah, it's it's been a bit of a whipsaw. I mean, no, like there's no stress. The max portfolio drawdown I've encountered over the past 8 years of back testing and including live data out of sample data is 2.47%, and I'm currently in like less than 1%. So it's nothing bad. It's just it's come thick and fast in the new month sort of thing. Not been the best start. 3 losses today. Yeah, today's been a weird one. Yeah, it's been a weird one. I mean, how many trades have been in today? So it's the most active day my portfolio has been since I started, of course, because I've added more strategies in. How are we doing, Random and Jacid? Hope you're both good. Austin, welcome. Happy new month. Yeah, happy new month to you too, dude. Coming into the close of 2025, which is just wild to say. My daughter starts school tomorrow as well, which is just absolutely mind-blowing that I've even got a child old enough to go to school. But also that kind of signifies that we're coming into the close of the year. September. You've only got September, October, November, December. 4 months left of 2025. So as I was saying, I have taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trades. I'm still in $3 yen longs. Roughly break even on those dollar yen longs. But yeah, it's been a bit of a whipsaw day for me, unfortunately. So hoping for, it's like the second trading day of the month, hoping for a steady rest of the month. And yeah, we'll bounce back and recover as we always do. Looks like people are joining. So all good on that end. Before we go into sort of the welcome session content and stuff, because I appreciate that stuff might be a little bit repetitive and the same thing week in, week out. You know, we do the welcome session, we do the strategy development session, and then the Darwin explanation session. And I appreciate, I'm here for every single one. So if you guys find it repetitive and boring, I also find it quite repetitive and a little bit boring saying the same things week in, week out. And if you was in these sessions last week, you'll know that I started to make some slight amendments, like the sessions were longer. We did more talking, interactions and stuff, as opposed to just a presentation. And that's kind of where I want to take these streams moving forward. I want them to be more... I want them to be more interactive. I want them to be less focused around, a presentation. And the idea that I had was Darwinex TV, right? Where we watch markets, we watch news events live, we get traders on and have like discussions, roundtable discussions, all that sort of good stuff, while still covering, the key topics that newer traders at Darwinex Zero need to know, like the welcome stuff, the risk engine, how all that works, and then potentially keeping the strategy development sessions as they are, or, even increasing the capacity on those, because I think they're probably the most watched sessions that we do. People love them, and rightly so. Strategy development is, an improvement is something fun to do, and every trader benefits from. But anyway, congratulations to anybody who achieved an allocation in the August edition of DarwinIA. It got quite competitive towards the end. I think my top rank last month was 11, and very, very quickly in the last few days, I fell to like 111. So I fell about 100 places, which is, again, it's just a game, right? But the last week of August seemed to be very, very competitive. Like there was a lot of movements. XITL came number 1 out of everybody, getting a 375,000 euro allocation. MDRN number 2, CDR number 3. I want to give a special shout out to Rob. who came number 8 and actually has now been promoted to DarwinIA Gold. Rob is probably here watching this, and if he's not, he'll probably pop up at some point in the session. But Rob's been a trader with us for a very, very long time. I've watched him develop and change his strategy a few different times as he's kind of come into his own as a trader. So SPWL isn't his first Darwin. And I remember having a chat with him, maybe a year and a half ago, where we kind of sat down and was like, you really need to think about where you're going with this and your approach long term. And fair play to Rob. He's gone away. He's put in the work. And now he's in DarwinIA Gold. He got an extra 130,000 euros in allocation last month. So massive shout out to you, Rob. You deserve it. You have put in the work, and I'm super, super proud of you. And everybody else who's got an allocation, of course. Let's take a look at DarwinIA Gold. Who came number 1 in DarwinIA Gold? TGVF. Jorge Trader. Look at that. Like I say, the end of August got super competitive. I mean, that is just a massive rally. I mean, if anybody's looking at this, right, any traders looking at this equity chart, let me pull up, I want to pull up my pen, Epic pen. Where is it? Here we go. Like that is just a breakout waiting to happen, right? I mean, it's a slightly wonky line. Let's see if they get a break and retest there, because that to me just looks like a stunning chart pattern. But yeah, congratulations to you, TGVF as well, Jorge Trader. Fantastic work. Being number 1 of DarwinIA Gold is like a huge, huge, huge achievement. This is kind of a difficult one to assess, and I was talking to FX Physics about this for his project ATA, which is the Traders Alliance project that he's running at the moment. And what we've seen is a lot of traders from Darwinex and Zero stepping up and kind of putting their track record out there. ATA is, I'll bring it up so you can see, Alliance, Audited Traders Alliance. So this is new. I will presume that the website's going to have a revamp at some point as Physics carries on developing this. But essentially what it is, it's Physics goes through and vets traders. So he will take their track record. He will give them a score based on various different metrics. But what we're seeing is the majority of traders going through are all from Darwinex or Darwinex Zero. I forgot where I was going with this. This is the problem. When you have a brain like mine, you just start talking and you forget where you're going. What was I even saying? Can't remember. Mine's gone blank. That's what happens. 5 p.m. Yeah. Been a busy day. Been at my desk since 7, I think. So how long is that? Like 10 hours, maybe? Maybe longer? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, the Audited Traders Alliance, like I say, it's a project to showcase real traders. Stands very much with what we do at Darwinex and, kind of our ethos of ridding the industry of idiots, to put it simple, and people who, maybe not who they say they are. It's just another way of traders to collaborate and show who is legitimate and who isn't. Again, everything like we do on Darwinex, you can't run from your performance on Darwinex. You can't hide it, which is good, and it's bad for the frauds because you see them come in and then you see them disappear very, very, very quickly. But anyway, let's move on to the session because I'm rambling and we're wasting time. And like I say, I want these sessions to be a little bit more free flow and a little bit more interactive. But also, we got to get to the point. We've got to get into the session because that's what people are here for. So today's session is all about Darwinex Zero. This is kind of a top-down analysis into our company, who we are and what we do. It's very base level. I don't go into too much detail on risk, the risk engine, value at risk, all of those sorts of concepts today. This is very much about what we offer to traders and how you can make the most of your experience with Darwinex Zero. If you want to know a little bit more about the advanced concepts like value at risk, we have sessions on Thursdays. Again, things may be changing soon as I implement Darwinex TV and shuffle around with the sessions. However, we do have a plethora of previous sessions on YouTube under the live tab. In fact, let me bring it up so that you, oh, there's a picture of me. I mean, leave that there. It's not hurting anybody. If we go into YouTube and I will show you where the sessions are. In fact, that's probably not the best place to show because that's not what you guys will see. So if we go, where even is it? Darwinex Zero's channel. If you come across to the live tab on our channel, you'll see all of the live sessions that we do week in, week out get uploaded onto here. So we have our performance coaching sessions with Sanj. If you haven't watched those, I highly recommend you go back and watch them. We're currently on we did session 8 yesterday. So you can see the latest one here. Sanj is a performance and mindset trading coach. And he basically just talks for an hour on different topics to do with assessing your performance and your mindset as a trader. Fantastic feedback on every single session. I highly recommend you going and watching that. But if it's more to do with the Darwinex stuff that you want to watch, oh, sorry, I wasn't supposed to do that. Sanjay's sessions are on playlists as well. So you can go on and you can watch session 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and we're continuing these sessions, so there will be a new one every 2 weeks or so. So I would recommend catching up now because by the time you're up to the current session, there might be another couple of sessions released. But you can see Understanding Your Darwin from last week, hour and 10 minutes long. That is far longer than the old sessions, but we go into some really good stuff. And that's where we discuss the more advanced concepts like your value at risk, how your risk multiplier works with your value at risk, etc. Strategy development sessions, again, welcome sessions, all these sorts of things. So if you can't watch these sessions live or you ever want to go back and watch them, they are on our YouTube. Just make sure you go on the live tab because they don't show up on videos. Okay, back to the presentation. As you can see, big picture of me. My name is Kieran, and I'm head of UK growth and business development here at Darwinex and Darwinex Zero. And if you don't know who we are or you're new to the community, Darwinex is a regulated asset manager and broker. Darwinex Zero is an AR of Darwinex. We are the same company, just different structure of how we offer the services to traders. We're regulated by the FCA in the UK, by the CNMV in Spain, and also by the FSA in the Seychelles. And we are currently in the midst of getting our CySec license out in Cyprus. Also, we have over $100 million invested in the platform by external third-party investors. And we also have a few million of our own capital invested in our traders through Darwinex Labs Prop Fund and through our Index, which is our hedge fund as well. We have over 10,000 active strategies on the platform right now, both on Classic and Darwinex Zero. And our main job as a business, in fact, we have two main jobs. First one is find the best trading talent on the market, which I believe we're doing very well because some of the talent that we're getting through, especially through Zero recently, is phenomenal. Some of the best traders that I've ever seen, or retail traders, I should specify. And our second job is raising capital. Finding ways to raise capital to bring to our traders, henceforth the birth of the index or the hedge fund. HSD has said, hello. Could you explain boosters more when you have the time? When I get to the permanent allocations in this session, I'll go over boosters as well. Boosters aren't included in this presentation yet because we've only just started the marketing push from today. So I will update this session moving forward, but I will talk about the boosters for sure today. No problem about that at all. So you might be wondering, what is Darwinex Zero? I'm sure the majority of you who are in this session have heard of or, maybe even trading with us right now. But Darwinex Zero is the only place where you can become a professional asset manager with zero risk. Now, I say professional asset manager because we offer real investor capital to traders. Of course, there's things that you have to satisfy before you attract real investor capital, but we give you the infrastructure and the ability to do this, okay? And we do it in a regulated manner. You piggyback under Darwinex's FCA regulatory license or CNMV, depending on where you're located in the world, and you can manage investor capital through that license, okay? In Thursday sessions, I go into kind of the specifics of how that works with our risk management, your trades, packaging it together in an index and offering it out to investors. But for today, just know that you are able to offer out your service to investors through our regulatory license. Number two, you can develop as a trader using our advanced strategy insights. This is exactly what our strategy development sessions I run on a weekly basis are built off of. We take a look at the metrics, we understand the data, and we try and look for patterns that we can exploit moving forward, whether it's a reduction of poor behavior or poor habits that you have in your trading that's statistical backed, or whether it's a low-hanging fruit that you could take advantage of. Think things like your maximum favorable excursion. If you're not running your trades for long enough and we have the data to show that, then of course we can find ways to increase your MFE. And then thirdly, we have a fantastic community of like-minded traders. Our Discord is just shy of 11,000 members, and it's a fantastic place to be if you want to learn more about Darwinex and you need questions answered pretty quick. We have a great community who will kind of jump on your question and answer it within, I don't want to give you a specific time frame, but very, very quick. And there's also the team in there. So I'm in there all the time. So I will answer questions. Might take me a little bit of time to get back to you just because of how busy I am and the amount of DMs that I get. But it's just a great place to network with traders. You know, who knows, you might meet your next trading friend in there. There's a lot of guys in there who have their own Discords and their own friendship circles. So it's a great place to meet people who are, like I say, like-minded traders with that vision of long-term growth and no kind of get-rich-quick, easy money schemes. Now, as an overview of how things work, again, we go into more detail on Thursday's session about understanding your Darwin, but at a very base level, I'll explain how the relationship works between your Darwin, which is what you receive at Darwinex Zero, and your trading account, which is the account that you actually trade. So you can see on the left, a trader will sign up with either Darwinex Zero or Darwinex. They receive a trading account of MetaTrader 4 or MetaTrader 5 unless you're connecting through interactive brokers on Darwinex. We then have a proprietary risk engine that assesses the risk level of the trader. Okay. Again, we go into much more detail on Thursday about this. We then either scale your strategy up or down to a value at risk of 6.5%. So if you are if you're a trader who's heavy on risk, it's likely that your strategy is going to be scaled back. If you're a trader who's light on risk, it's likely that your trading strategy is going to be scaled up. The risk engine can intervene in trades if your leverage gets too out of control. So we measure a metric called deleverage, which is a proprietary metric here at Darwinex. If your deleverage goes outside the norm for your trading strategy, then the risk engine can close some of the exposure that you have to the market to ensure that the risk of your strategy remains constant and doesn't get too volatile. All of that stuff gets packaged up into something that we call a Darwin, which is basically like an index. So the way that the S&P 500 is an index of the top 500 companies in the US, your Darwin is an index of all of your trades plus our risk engine to make your index. Okay, so whilst you have 100% of control of what happens to your index from a trading perspective, Darwinex also has control over the risk management side of things. Again, going back to it's our regulatory license that the Darwin is offered to investors through. So, of course, we have to have an element of risk management on there, and we have to, be able to control the risk parameters for the investors. The same way that you would have a risk manager if you worked in a professional trading desk, think a hedge fund, prop desk, investment bank, you would always have a risk manager overseeing the risk of the desk and the risk of each individual trader. If your risk got out of control, if you was holding on to losers or removing stops or adding too much size, your risk manager would probably get involved, probably tell you to close some of your position the same way that the risk engine would do. The difference is the risk engine is built to be 100% scalable for a tech company like Darwinex, where we don't have, an actual desk and our traders are spotted all around the world. We can't, of course, actively employ a risk manager to go out and sit with every single trader that we have on our books. It would cost too much money. It's just not feasible. There's probably not even 10,000 risk managers out there in the world. So the risk engine solves that issue for us as a company because, like I say, it's active on every single trader, no matter where they are in the world, no matter what time of day, because it's a proprietary piece of software that runs 24/7. Love it or hate it, it's there to protect you and the investors. Now, your Darwin is where your AUM is held, okay? So your index is where the investor capital goes to, whether it's from DarwinIA allocations, investors, the index or our hedge fund, permanent allocations, or boosters. It all gets held at Darwin level. So if you make 10% on your account on MetaTrader, but your Darwin only makes 5%, you've made 5% growth on the AUM that you hold, not the 10% from your MetaTrader. Because remember, the index is your trades plus our risk management. Now, when I say become a professional asset manager, this is kind of the roadmap that we talk about. Okay, so we start in something called the calibration phase, which is important to know. It's not a pass or fail assessment. This is just a period of time, which usually takes about 3 weeks, where our risk engine assesses your behavior. Whilst it's assessing your behavior, it understands the risk level that you take to generate a return. Once it has that data, which again usually takes 3 weeks, can take slightly longer, especially if you vary your risk size dramatically. If you're changing your risk size slightly, I wouldn't be too concerned. But if you're trading 1 lot, then the next day trading a 10 lot, that's quite a variance. So it might take some time longer than 3 weeks. But once you've passed the calibration phase, then I've just said it's not a pass or fail assessment, so I apologize for the word in there. But once you've come out or been promoted from calibration phase, your Darwin will be created and will be live, meaning that you will then be eligible for the DarwinIA program. So we'll come back to permanent allocations in a moment. The first phase of the DarwinIA program is DarwinIA Silver. Now, DarwinIA acts as kind of a monthly leaderboard across all of our traders on the platform. So right now, I think there's just shy of 9,000 traders in DarwinIA Silver. And all of those traders are competing on a month-by-month basis to gain an allocation. Okay, so in DarwinIA Silver, allocations go from 30,000 euros to all the way up to 375,000 euros for the #1 spot. Those allocations last for 3 months and they are cumulative, meaning that you can stack them month on month. So if I had 30,000 euros this month, next month and the month after, I'd be managing 90,000 euros. At the end of month 3, the initial 30,000 euros would drop off. And if I gained 100,000 euros in month 4, my AUM would then go up to 160,000, for example. And every month, the initial one would drop off and a new one would be added on, providing I hit the minimum rating for an allocation. The minimum rating for an allocation is 75. So if you have 75 or above on your rating for your Darwin, which you will be able to see on your dashboard, then you will receive an allocation in that given month of DarwinIA. The second step or the second phase of the DarwinIA program, which is much more exclusive, is DarwinIA Gold. The reason I say it's much more exclusive is because you have to hit a few performance milestones to get into DarwinIA Gold. So #1, your track record needs to be at least 8 months in length. You have to have made 20% return, and your return to drawdown ratio needs to be a minimum of 2.5x. What that means is if you have a 20% return, your maximum drawdown will need to be less than 8.3% or something like that, because it's 2.5 times the maximum drawdown to the return. A simple explanation would be 25% return, your max drawdown could be 10%. If it's above that, you'll be excluded from moving to DarwinIA Gold until you have a return to drawdown ratio of above 2.5x. In DarwinIA Gold, your allocations go from 50,000 euros all the way up to 500,000 euros, and they actually last for 6 months in gold instead of 3 months like silver. The only difference is you don't have a rating in gold. Instead, you're judged on your current month's return. So the #1 spot in DarwinIA Gold is the person who's returned the highest amount or the highest percentage in that given month. So whilst in DarwinIA Silver, it's a much more complex approach where we measure your current month's return, your previous 5 months return, your previous 6 months drawdown to compute your rating. In DarwinIA Gold, it's all about how much percentage gain you make in that given month. So you might be coming off a really bad month last month. That's not going to harm you this month, because if you make 5% this month, you might be #1 in DarwinIA Gold. Roughly, there's about 330, maybe 350 traders in gold at the moment. So it is growing nicely. But gold is kind of what it is on the tin. It's the gold standard of traders that we have here at Darwinex. And because of that, they then become open to investor capital. As soon as your track record gets to gold, you're open on the Darwinex investor marketplace. And usually what we see as well is that when you go into gold, Darwinex Labs, which is our prop desk, not our hedge fund, but our in-house prop fund, we start investing small amounts of capital into that trader as well to see the behavior when managing investor capital. So usually it's not very long when you go into DarwinIA Gold before you receive a small investment from Darwinex Labs. When I say small, I'm talking $5, $10, $15, $20,000 investment into your strategy. If you still perform well and you meet all the metrics required, then we will move you from the Darwinex Labs prop fund over to the hedge fund, which is the index, where the capital allocations can be much, much larger. Alongside the DarwinIA program, we have something called permanent allocations. Now, I promised HSD Capital that I talk about boosters here as well, so I will. So I'm going to merge these into two. So we have permanent allocations and boosters. Permanent allocation is what it says on the tin. It's 100,000 euros allocation that you can purchase and activate on your account, and it will stay there indefinitely. So we won't ever pull that allocation from your account, not even if you're going to drawdown or if it takes you ages to take a performance fee. There's no rules, no restrictions on that. You will keep it for life as long as you don't cancel your account with Darwinex Zero. That is the only way that you would lose your permanent allocation. Boosters, on the other hand, are slightly different to permanent allocations. So they work the same in the sense that it's an additional optional allocation that you can enable on your account. No pressure if you do, no pressure if you don't. But they're short-term boosters. So you can choose a time period and the value that you want. Let me bring it up so I can show you exactly what I mean. Bear with me for 2 seconds. Allocations. So if I bring this over, you guys should be able to see this now. So we have the 100,000 euro permanent allocation. So you can see we have target quotes. I will go over this in a moment on what they mean. We also have an instant option where you can enable the permanent allocation to be instantly available on your Darwin, which means as soon as you've enabled it, you can be earning performance fees moving forward. You can also get up to 400,000 euros in booster allocation. Now, this is, like I say, a temporary allocation. It's essentially like you're buying a DarwinIA allocation for a period of time. Okay, so it works very similar to DarwinIA. However, it's not based on your performance. So if you know that, for example, September is usually a big month for you based on your previous back tests or your trading history, you might want to add an additional allocation to your account for the purpose of trading September. So you might choose a 200,000 euro temporary allocation for 3 months because you know that September, October, November are usually going to be pretty big months for you. That means that this 200,000 euros will be enabled from that point moving forward for 3 months. Again, any progress you make on that allocation on a high watermark perspective, you will earn performance fees on that as well. It's a pretty simple concept, but if you want to know more information, if you go into your dashboard, there's a video on here, so you can watch that video and it will explain a little bit more. We also have a more info button where you can go and read a little bit more about it. But it's pretty simple concept. The way I like to explain it, like I say, is it's as if you're buying a DarwinIA allocation. Okay, it doesn't last forever. But you can choose the amount that you want, and you can scale up to 400,000 euros. The only thing that you should know is that you can only buy one per month. So if you bought a 50,000 euro booster this month, you won't be able to buy another one until next month. The next step on the roadmap is the investors and prop. Okay, so as I mentioned, when your Darwin is in gold, you then become open on the investor marketplace, meaning that any third-party investors that have an account with Darwinex can view your strategy and allocate capital to you. The prop side of things is, like I say, the Darwinex Labs prop fund will likely give you a small amount of investor capital to begin with to start you off to see how you manage that capital. Okay. The reason we do that is because it's kind of like phase one for us, testing you as a trader before putting you into the index. I guess not phase one because you're already in gold. You've proven that you're consistent, but managing real investor capital, because what can happen is, and we've seen it happen before, a trader can get to gold, fantastic performance, no dips in performance, of course, drawdowns, but no real dips in performance. As soon as they get their first bit of investor capital, doesn't matter whether it's $1,000, $5, $10, $100, $500, doesn't matter on the value per se, but just the fact that they have investor capital can send a trader sideways, and they can just see a real lapse in performance, seeing it time and time again. So it's more of kind of a judgment test. How does this trader handle real investment? Because believe me, it's completely different to having a prop firm challenge, for example, where you know that if I lose my 100K funding, I can buy another challenge, start again, and get funded within the next few weeks. This is, okay, a real investor has sat there and allocated real money to my account. So it's not fake, it's not sim, it's not demo. There is an investor who's trusted me with live capital. You can play with your head. So it's kind of the test. And then, as I mentioned, the last rung on the ladder is the Darwinex fund, or the index, as it's better known as. This is our licensed hedge fund. This is where we're raising capital now. So the goal with this is to create a fairer distribution of capital on the Darwinex platform. So instead of having capital all congregated into one Darwin, like we saw for so long with THA, where THA was managing like 38 million at the time, and the next biggest trader was like 5 million. There's a big disparity between number one and number two, and therefore every other Darwin. So what we've tried to do with the index to combat that, which is working really well on a small scale, and we're trying to scale that up now, is we take the capital in from investors into the hedge fund, and we disperse it out more fairly to every single trader on the platform, or every single trader who's passed our test. Currently about 150, about 150 traders. It's not split equally. So let's say we've got 3.5 million in AUM, which is what we currently have in the index. We don't go, well, that divided by 100 traders is this much each. We judge it by different metrics, different variables, and we provide different amounts of allocation from the index to certain traders, mainly based on experience, but there are some other things like correlation and trading styles as well that come into the equation. Also things like capacity, because if a trader has a capacity for $100,000, it doesn't matter how great their strategy is, it's not very scalable. So we can't fill their strategy up with the same as somebody whose capacity might be 500 million and can handle a lot more capital. The index is a really, really interesting, part of the Darwinex ecosystem now and moving forward, because there's really no limit to where we can take the index. Okay. The more traders that we get, the higher the capacity will be for the index, the better returns we can provide or risk-adjusted returns, I should say, we can provide for investors. And it benefits everybody. It allows us to grow more as a business. It allows the investors a better choice of where to invest. It's less hands-off. They have to make less decisions. They have it all managed for them. It's all licensed, all regulated. It's all fine. And it's better for the traders because, like I say, it's fair distribution of capital, and it allows us to scale, therefore bringing more capital to all of our traders as well. Now, I've already been through these, so I'm going to kind of fly through them, because what I usually do is explain everything on this page, and then the next like 10 slides are redundant. So I'll try and go through these as quickly as possible, because I don't want to ramble on for too long. But to just recap, the calibration phase, the trader signs up, and it takes approximately 3 trading weeks to complete. Of course, can take longer. Once your Darwin is created, which happens over the weekend, so if you finish your calibration phase on a Tuesday, your Darwin will be created on the weekend and will go live on the following Monday. You should always continue trading during that part, because any trades that you take up until Darwin creation will still be included after your Darwin is created. Once it's created, you will get your rating and you will be eligible to earn allocations moving forward. To recap, DarwinIA Silver and Gold, they're 2 different tiers or 2 different levels of our monthly leaderboard competition. And they are in addition to permanent allocations and boosters. DarwinIA Silver is a ratings-based leaderboard where we take into account your 6 months return and your 6 months drawdown, split by your current month's return, your 5 months return, and your previous 6 months drawdown. Whereas on Gold, all we look for is your current month's return. The higher the return, the higher you will rank on the leaderboard, and therefore the higher the allocation you will receive that month. Permanent allocations and boosters are optional add-ons. Boosters are temporary, so you can choose how much capital you want to add through the booster and how long you want to add that to your Darwin for. Whereas a permanent allocation is indefinite. Once you've enabled it on your account, it will be there for the rest of time, unless you cancel your account with Darwinex. We have different growth targets, or you can choose to enable the permanent allocation instantly, meaning it's, from point of purchase, it's therefore active on your account. So you can see the different options. We have 0%, which is the instant option. We have 5, 10, 15, and 20% as well. Now, what that means is if you choose one of these growth targets, so 5 to 20%, that would mean once you've paid for the permanent allocation, you would have to make 5, 10, 15, or 20% before the 100K goes live. Similar to if you start a prop firm challenge, you have to pass their initial 2 phases. It's a kind of similar concept here. You would have to make 5% on your Darwin before the 100K is allocated. With the instant option, it is exactly what it says on the tin. It's an instant permanent allocation. It's there straight away. Something that not a lot of people are aware that you can actually do is we offer the ability to transition to Darwinex at any time. So for whatever reason you may have for wanting to leave Darwinex Zero and join Darwinex, we offer that migration completely hassle-free where we take your track record from Darwinex Zero. And if you open a live account with Darwinex, you will receive your track record on your new live account. So we don't add any trades, obviously, to your broker account. But what we do is we take kind of a copy and paste of your previous trades and your previous record, and it just starts again from your new live account. There's a bit of an adjustment that needs to be made on our end. So we do it over the weekends, because if you go from trading $100,000 in virtual capital and then you open a brokerage account for £5,000, for example, we're going to have to do some back-end calculations and ensure a smooth transition, which historically the transitions have always been super smooth and there's never been an issue. You still receive all of the same benefits. The only difference between trading on Darwinex is you have no monthly subscription. However, you have live capital at stake because, of course, you've deposited into a broker, which means if you start losing money on your trading, of course, it's not just a virtual account or a simulated account that's losing the balance. It's actually your hard-earned cash that's taking the hit. Depending on where you are on your trading journey, that might be more suited to you anyway, which is absolutely fine. But we have both options. It's completely down to you as the trader. There's no pressure to upgrade to Darwinex. I say upgrade. Migrate is a better word because it's not really an upgrade. The service is completely the same. The only difference is how you pay for it. So with Darwinex Zero, you, of course, pay a monthly subscription. With Darwinex, you're paying broker commissions because you're trading through our broker. Makes no difference to us. We just want to find the best trading talent on the market. So you can trade however you want. Skip over that. Now, before we bring the session to an end, in fact, I'm not even going to cover this because this is a Thursday topic. Yeah, I'm not even going to cover that. It's a Thursday topic. I don't want to get into value at risk now because I'll end up rambling on about it for 15, 20 minutes. The only reason I added it to the presentation before was because I didn't feel like I touched on value at risk or the risk engine at all. But since I've added a couple more slides, and so at the beginning, I was already talking about how the risk engine works, how it scales you up and down. So the value at risk stuff, we'll leave that and park it for Thursday for our Darwin explanation sessions, because it's a much better environment to talk about VAR and the risk engine adjustments and the interventions and all of the sort of good stuff that goes on behind the scenes. So to finish off, I just want to ask if anybody in the session, whether you're watching this on YouTube or X, if anybody has any questions, now is the perfect time to ask them. And I will close down the session in a couple of minutes if there are no questions, but there usually is. So I'll give you guys a minute or two. You guys are unusually quiet today. Here we go. Jacid. I can always count on you, dude. Go on, hit me, dude. No problem. I'll wait for you to type it. If you missed the start of this session, by the way, guys, I was saying earlier, you can go back on YouTube or X, and these sessions are all, the way we stream them is once they're streamed live, they automatically get saved as a live session. So you can go on X and you can watch it back, or you can go on YouTube, click on the live tab, and you will see all of our live sessions that we ever do. Roughly do like 3 or 4 a week, depending on the week. So you can go back and watch all of them, including this session. You can go back and watch the start of this session. And then we will be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. UK time. for the strategy development session, which is my favorite session of the week to run. We usually go through statistics from somebody in the audience, but like last week, we just ended up rambling and just chatting with the audience. So I kind of missed going through the statistics. Jay said, my current Darwin target risk states 5.91% instead of the 6.5%. Could this be because the error in my calibration phase? If so, can I expect this to slowly scale back up to 6.5% in the future? Yes, so 6.5% is like a target value of risk, but sometimes there will be slight variance. So mine is lower than 6.5% as well. But it's basically because it's trying to manage the volatility of your strategy. So if there has been a big change or an error, as you say, it can throw it out of whack for a bit. So for example, on my end, I've been adding more strategies. So it's been getting more, my trading's been getting more frequent. So whilst it's catching up, my target risk has been lowered because it's kind of like it has less of a, less of a grasp of what's going on. But yeah, you will likely see that will level out in future. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that. But I hope I answered your question, dude. It's always a pleasure to chat with you. I know it's late in the morning for you, and this is probably even later, right? It's probably about 20 to 3 for you in the morning. Of course, full accountability on my side for the error, not an error by Darwinex. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was necessarily an error. It's just a potential oversight. But like I say, I wouldn't be too concerned. Yeah, 2:40 a.m. Dude, you need to go get some sleep. So with that, we'll call it an end to the session now. Like I say, we'll be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. UK time for the strategy development session. Jay said, go get some sleep, dude. You're gonna need it. It's almost 3 a.m. your time. Got to be up early to trade London session. So get some beauty sleep. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure as always. Like I say, join the live session tomorrow and Thursday for the strategy development and the risk engine session where we go more into detail on understanding your Darwin side of things. And with that, I hope you have a fantastic evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are in the world. And I will catch you all in the next session. Peace out, guys. Happy trading.